Hi, I'm John Travolta, and I played Charlie Wax in the movie From Paris with Love.
I'm Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, and I play the character of James Reese in the movie From Paris with Love.
So, first question for both of you, a very simple one. What attracted you in the movie?
Well, for me, it was initially Luc Besson is giving you a movie offer. that was a big door opening, and because he's great. And then Pierre Morel, who had directed Taken, is directing this. That's another big attraction. And then I read the script. This character was amazing and very liberated and wild, and I knew that I could do this. And so those are my three initial bits of attraction.
For me, of course, working with Luc Besson. It's very funny. Luc doesn't know that I auditioned for The Fifth Element many years ago, and I didn't get the part. So I may have a funny conversation with him later on today because of that. But also working with John Travolta. You see, John was attracted to was in the film by the time that Luc came to me. So that's a huge attraction for any actor to work with such a great actor as John, because you're going to subconsciously learn. You're going to learn. So, you know, there's something about that was very attractive. And then, you know, Pierre Morel. I mean, I love his energy. I love the way he makes his movies. You know, I love Taken because, you know, the thing about Pierre Morel's movies that sometimes, this sometimes happens with directors, that they get so overindulgent with their own direction of something, that, you know, that they forget that they're making a movie that's purely for the audience. It's not for the 500 people who work in the industry. And Luc realizes that it's the audience that are important. And the same with Pierre. And when we went out to Rosny last night, and we went into the cinemas, and we saw the reaction of the people, this is who you make movies for.
And it was targeted for that audience as well.
Yeah.
And do you remember your first day of shooting together and the first impression you made on each other?
Well, you know, obviously we only had the impressions that we had from each other from seeing film on each other.
Yeah.
So I was kind of dazzled by his acting before I met Jonathan, and I thought, oh, he's sharp, man. He knows his character. He knows he's a professional. He's really going to bring to the table something wonderful. So I was anxious to see Jonathan's interpretation of his character. But it was designed where we would be fresh meeting each other on screen. So that was the first thing.
And for me, of course, that element of, you know, that was kind of like Pierre's idea, that he wanted this shock reaction. He wanted that even 2 or 3 seconds of just checking each other out. You never get that on film. You know, it's so funny that sometimes you shoot a movie and you shoot the first scene in the movie last. And of course, and then you're not getting that shock reaction because, you know, and because at that point I would have known John 10, 11 weeks and we would have ate together and talked together.
It doesn't always work, but in this movie it worked because there had to be an awkwardness and a newness to our initial contact. So normally I wouldn't advise something like this, but because I have to literally meet Jonathan's character for the first time and vice versa, I felt like that could be captured. And even if it weren't captured, we'll recreate it later, but it was worth at least trying. And I think that discovery of each other, you could see in our eyes. I mean, it was just really, we're really checking each other out, you know, so it's very original that way.
And the chemistry is obvious, which is
yeah.
great, of course.
And we didn't know we'd have chemistry.
No, that's the happy accident. I mean, like one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. Absolutely, one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. And I have a girlfriend, and it's her favorite line in the whole movie is that, you know, I say to him, you know, I'm not your driver, I'm your partner, and you went, oh yeah, the chess player, and I say, yeah, you play chess, and he looks at me and he goes, do I look like I play board games? I mean, that was everything that I needed to know about Charlie Wax. No, he doesn't look like he plays board games, but he may. And that's the discovery of the different characters.
And the writing is very good in this movie. I mean, what a gift to have an action movie that has great writing in it, and story and character. You know, that's really the only reason you should do one. You shouldn't do one for action's sake ever. But this one, you know, kind of gave that gift to both of us.
And you obviously take great pleasure playing with your look on screen.
Oh, yes.
So how did you choose this one?
Well, I love specific looks. I mean, I always do. I think it helps the audience. The film is a visual medium, and I think you have to give them visual. And whether, you know, it's the page boy haircut in Pulp Fiction, or Swordfish, that Euro trash haircut, or, you know, the way one dresses, the way one's body movement is, you have to make a painting for the audience. Now you have to arrive at that illusion the way you arrive at that illusion, but you still must do it in a visual way. So the first thing you do is discover what he's going to look like, and then you discover a lot of things, because maybe in other mediums you discover it differently, but you have to in this way. So I saw these photographs of soldiers of fortune, soldiers for hire, that were suddenly very glamorous. They didn't used to look that way, but scarves and chic clothing and leather jackets and shaved heads and good. I thought, it's bold, and if Luc and Pierre allow me to do this, this would be a good thing, and they did.
And the action scenes are quite demanding in the movie. How much did you have to prepare yourselves physically?
Well, I rehearsed many weeks those scenes, because those were choreographed action scenes. So it took a lot of drilling and practicing.
I mean, I didn't have to do as much action, but it's strange what John said there about, you know, soldiers of fortune, and how glamorous they are, and how they take this look so far, and they have earrings and goatees and all this, because these guys may not see tomorrow. So you go out looking the way you want to go out. You don't have to conform to anything. These guys don't conform to anything, because this day may be their last day. They put themselves in the line of fire. So, you know, I'd say, because now after John said it, I went on the computer while I was home in London. I looked at some of them, and I saw this one guy who was guarding an oil well in Iraq. And, you know, and he was dressed in a Dolce & Gabbana tracksuit, and he had a pink mohawk. Because when else in his life is he going to be able to wear a pink mohawk in his job except guarding a well in Iraq?
And they make a lot of money too, those guys, you know. My being a CIA operative, I may not make as much as they do, but these soldiers of fortune that Jonathan Tring, I mean, they used to work for me at my house in LA. And when you hear the numbers that they'll get to go to Iraq, or go to Pakistan, or go, you know, to the Middle East, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it rivals some of the biggest numbers. So they have a little extra money to look
a little extra money to look a little bit fabulous. And you know, I did a film years ago called Alexander, and we got a lot of these guys who had just come from Basra. All these guys had just come from Basra, and they had huge tattoos down their backs. They had this incredible, and I said to them, I said, why is this look? And he says, because, you know, we don't know when the last day is going to be the last day. And so, you know, and we just, and it's also, we get the money, he says, we never save. We get it, we spend it.
Yeah.
And we spend it. So they all drive Ferraris, they all drive Porsches and big motorcycles and stuff, because at the end of the day, they're doing the riskiest job in the world. And someone like Charlie Wax is doing the riskiest job in the world right now.
He's a bullet away, an inch away from death all times.
Sure.
Know. And has an irreverence toward it as well, clearly.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.